Hello and welcome back to Not Another Heroclix podcast. This is a very special episode, a Dial A for Alpha Strike USA, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. I am not your host, Kalder. Your host is actually Alec Musser. Joining me in the studio in the Dial H Content House is Ian Eggleston, as well from all the way in Texas. We have Asael Campos from the Alpha Strike. Here's your host, Alec Musser.
Hey, everybody. It's Alec Musser here on the Heroclix podcast. I can't do it.
Why are you doing that voice? Did you have a Diet Pepsi before this,
I
Alec?
did have a Diet.
You had a Diet Pepsi,
I had a Diet Pepsi
didn't you?
before this. All of that aspartame has gone right to my brain, and here I am. No, but for real, I'm very excited for this because I just love talking with all you guys. We have our own little chat, and I love just talking. And I was just like, let's just put it on paper, like put it in voices. So
yeah,
we're just going to kind of talk about Heroclix, and we're really wherever our whims take us, honestly. Let's start out with this. Let's talk about, real quick, one by one, what's been something that's been going on this week that has been really cool that you just want to share? Maybe something you've been doing, or...
Is this Heroclix or is this anything?
Anything at all.
Anything.
I'll start. We'll go with this, and then everyone can follow suit. I've been watching a lot of horror movies lately, so it's that spooky kind of the year. I don't know if anyone here is hip to horror movies or not. But I've been watching quite a few. I don't know if this is considered a horror movie, but I always try and watch Prisoners around this time. I freaking love that movie.
I love that movie.
It's so good. I love those like psychological horror, like, psychological kind
thriller.
of stuff. Thrillers,
like thriller, yeah.
That's my favorite genre. And yeah,
how many have you seen? Can you go down the list of like what you've seen for movies this week, and then maybe pseudo objectively rank them within each other?
So so I would say I think Prisoners is number one, just because I've watched that one before and I just like love it. So I always try and watch that every year. So it's like a yearly thing for me. It's probably one of my top movies of all time. I watched a Portuguese film called When Evil Lurks. I can't remember the actual Spanish name of it, but that is a horrendous movie. Like horrendous just in terms of like horror. It's really good if you like genuine horror. I'm not super hip to like demon possession movies, but this one was really compelling in terms of like the writing and the world building behind it. It was very, very good. And then let's do the third one. Third place was called The Funny Games. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that one.
I've never heard of that.
It's a very unique twist on the if you guys like, it's kind of like the psychological horror thriller. It's kind of like The Strangers. If you guys have watched the original The Strangers.
Yeah. Totally.
It's
a good one too.
Yeah. So there's two versions of it. There's the German version that came out in 1997. That's very good. But then there's an American version. It's made by the same guy. It's shot exactly the same. It's just very, very unique. It's like, just like those things that just feels like, oh, this could maybe happen.
It like actually happen, where it's like just eerie enough and more grounded, right? Where it's like, oh, just two random psychos just break into my house. Yeah, like a very realistic, I guess, scenario.
Imagine if Jason got a different name. Like, what if same movie plot, but his name was like Tyler. Or Mark.
A Tyler mask. I can't wait to wear a Tyler mask to Halloween.
In an alternate universe, he is Tyler, and then the alternate versions of Alpha Strike, Heroes You Say and Dial H, are being like, what if he was called something stupid like Jason? And then they're laughing at that. Like, oh, dude, yikes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. Someone else, take the reins on this. What has been something you've been doing this week?
I'll should go next.
Yeah, I'll go. So to follow suit on the movies segment, I actually rewatched Watchmen yesterday, and I haven't seen that movie in years. Maybe I was like, I don't know, probably when it came out, and that movie's really, really good. So I just actually ordered the comic book to read that as well. Besides that, I've actually been reading some comics. I was just lent Blood Hunt to read that because I believe gonna have like a second part coming up in November with Doctor Doom being, I don't know, the main antagonist in that run. I just also read Batman Gargoyle of Gotham. There's a 4-part series. I believe only 2 issues are out, and that should wrap up by the end of the year. It's actually pretty good. And I want to start reading Civil War. I've actually never read Civil War.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so I
Like
want to
the
read
OG?
Political.
Yeah. Wait to get political.
Well, I'm glad you rewatched Watchmen. Watchmen's one of my all-time like favorite movies. Period. I love Watchmen. Love the director's cut. And then the comic book is amazing. Like you're gonna really enjoy. They're both so similar and yet very, very different. And you'll kind of realize that once you read the comic. But Watchmen is so good. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
It's like a top 5, if not like top 3.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's so good.
I still need to read that one. I forgot you guys are all very. I used to be in the comics. I'm not so much into them now, but I used to read them. That's one of them. I feel like I am like. It's like not watching Step Brothers or something like that. It's just like you have to.
Oh.
It's like one of those like you have to watch it.
Well,
Yeah.
like with comics, a lot of it is I don't seek out like, oh, I'm following this run. Like I've never actively followed a comic. It's more so like I kind of the history for me has been like, oh, this HeroClix is interesting. Like, what do they do? And then I read about it.
100%. That's like
So,
probably
That's
the
all-
main
that's all it's
way
ever
I've
been
read
for me.
comics, like growing up. Besides, obviously, I always buy whatever current like Captain America. I know, shocker. That's the only run I always keep up with. But then, yeah, like when the Civil War movie was coming out, or like the Civil War set, I read Civil War on my PSP. The PSP had a comic app you could get, and Civil War, the first issue was free, and then I bought the rest. So honestly, you should don't get the real book version of Civil War. Go buy an old PSP and read it that way. That's the way it was meant to be read, in my opinion, from what I know, anyways.
Are PSPs hard to find right now?
I don't know.
their
I don't
market's
know. Clue.
interesting
Yeah,
because
35.
they're really easy to like jailbreak. Like you can load them up with ROMs.
dude.
It's just a really well
easy.
supported device for that. So PSPs are strangely like one of the consoles that have held more value than most.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
there you go.
Jailbreak your PSP so you can watch or read. Or no, you don't have to jailbreak it,
You can
right?
still. The PlayStation Store doesn't work on the PSP anymore. I think they shut down the PlayStation Store on PSP and PS3. So maybe you have to jailbreak it in order to read Civil War on the PSP. But that's how I read it, anyway.
Yeah, Calder, I'm gonna need you to Bluetooth it to my PSP, please, man.
I can do that. Yeah, I can do that for you, bro. Anything, bro.
Thank you, bro.
But you have to give Diego his Blood Hunt back before I Bluetooth.
It wasn't Diego's, but yes, I'll buy him a set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll buy him a set. Calder, what you been up to, man?
You know, let's stick with the movie theme. I watched 2 movies for the first time this past week. I'm going to see if I can remember the movie I watched last night, because it's actually not, oh yes, I do remember. Okay. So I watched Idiocracy for the first time. That has just been referenced to death in media, I feel like, especially the last 8 years for whatever reason. And I always feel like I was missing some
Whatever
joke.
reason.
Yeah, for whatever reason, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, so I finally watched Idiocracy. Really good. Really, really good. I really wished had watched it when it first came out, because then I would be like, wow, this is wild, because it is scarily accurate to a few things, but it's mostly ridiculousness. And I do love that the main fundamental like problem with it was an agricultural problem. I found that particularly hilarious. I don't know if as many other people find that as funny, but I think it's really funny that they're like, spoiler for Idiocracy, they're like watering the plants with Gatorade, because Gatorade has like replaced all basic water.
It has
In
electrolytes.
this world. Yeah, it has electrolytes. So that, and then I finally watched Darkman. So I guess maybe you have or haven't watched these. I guess you probably haven't, but Evil Dead is my favorite movie franchise of all time. I love the Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2. Is my favorite movie, and Sam Raimi directs all those. And so Sam Raimi also directed Darkman. Darkman has Liam Neeson as the lead in it. It is very much that same direction style, where it's these dark themes and these really dark, heavy moments, but then also it's just utterly ridiculous, where it's like you think something serious is happening, and then all the I guess violence becomes very slapstick out of nowhere, it feels, and it kind of almost makes a joke of these like serious mafia situations or whatever. So I really enjoyed Darkman. It felt like a Sam Raimi movies. It has the Delta in it. It has a Bruce Campbell cameo in it, which is great. Seeing a very young Liam Neeson in this is also really cool. And it's hilarious to see Liam Neeson in such a silly, goofy role, but yet also like such a serious role. So Those are the two movies I watched this week. If I had to rank them, I guess, yeah, I'd probably say Idiocracy is better than Darkman. I wish I had watched more. Had I known I'd be on a show and I could potentially rank my movies like Alec did, but alas, here we are. But I would, Alec, if you haven't seen Evil Dead, it's very demon possession heavy. Like that's like the whole point of it, but it's very good. Evil Dead is my favorite franchise. So if you're in the horror vibe, if you want to watch some horror stuff, Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, RV Darkness, phenomenal movies.
I super enjoyed the first one because of how much they had to like go over, like how like scrummy it was in terms of like the filmmaking and stuff like that.
Yes.
Like the scenes where like they're running through the forest, like the camera's like kind of zooming is supposed to be like the possession entity, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. They literally bolted a camera to a 2x4 and had two people on each side just run up and down the forest. That's how they got those shots.
Same thing for like the when it breaks the window, there's just like a 2x4 in front of the camera and they slam it into a window like the evil is busting through. So yeah. Definitely watch the second one. If you enjoyed the first one is very much a, college kids, no budget, raising as much money as they can, labor of love horror movie. The second one is like, okay, we got a little bit more budget. We can I start start from scratch. We are on a sound stage, all this stuff, a little more professional. We get to do more elements that would have been asking too much for their current skill level. For the first one, so they get to do that in the second one. And then the third one is just an utterly ridiculous romp where it's almost a summer blockbuster with some ties to the same original vibe. But I would definitely recommend it. If you enjoyed Evil Dead 1, definitely watch Evil Dead 2.
What did you think about the new one?
Rise or Evil Dead 2013?
He cosplayed as Danny.
Rise is bad. I think Rise is bad. I think Rise is a fine... It's not even really a fine horror movie. It has interesting concepts. It uses the Evil Dead concepts from past movies in an interesting way, but fundamentally it is a bad movie where it's like scared, run away, scared, run away. I'm like, we're in an apartment building. Like I think Ian, you said this after we seen it. Like, how big is this apartment you're in? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that movie was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
Flat out, not a good movie.
I think some of the gore aspects, I think the mother killed it as a Deadite. I think she was incredibly terrifying, very scary, very creepy. I loved her acting. But besides that, it was a bad movie.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the collective. I don't know what they call it in the Rise, where they're all like come together, right?
I hated that.
I
think it's silly.
I thought it was kind of silly too.
Hey, Ian.
What's up? No.
Yeah, but it's on my phone, waiting for myself.
Yeah. And what's up, guys?
I've heard the Evil Dead song and dance.
Yeah.
I just let Kalder rip on it. Not rip on it, but like rip about it, I should say. No, this week has been just really getting back to work, and then, something fun. I got some more work clothes. Got to do a little drip upgrade, so we did that. And then as far as like movies go, I watched the pilot to the Penguin series a few hours ago, actually. And it's like, it is just so good. Cinematically very pleasing. Storyline's great. Like the first episode feels like a full-on movie. It's really, really good. And I know Batman's like not in this universe, which is usually something I'm very nitpicky about. But I don't know. I really like Matt Reeves' direction on everything he's been involved with Batman, and that might be controversial to some, but I like that he's doing his original takes on characters, but he's also not taking away from characters. It's very much in his style, but the origin and like the vein of the character is very fitting, and this goes for like the Caped Crusader TV show, which is also fantastic. He's just done a really good job of expressing Batman in a new flavor without completely changing like what it's made of, which I think so many people they try to do, especially with DC, where it's like, oh, source material, what's that? And they just do their complete own thing. This feels like its own thing, but ultimately it's still at its core very much Batman, and I'm really, really excited. I'm kind of mad I watched the first episode because now I'm like, where's the rest of it? Usually I'm a guy who waits for all of it to come out so I can just binge it, but yeah, pretty slow week, just working on HeroClix stuff, going to work, and then repeating the next day. So not slow, but yeah, I mean, just busy, but nothing crazy.
I don't know if you guys watched it other than Ian, but the Penguin was great. Yeah, the first episode was amazing. I was really impressed.
Oh, good, right? Like movie quality. Like,
100%.
How is this budgeted for TV? I just kept thinking that. It's insane.
Yeah, it felt like it kept on going, like from the Batman, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I like it. I did watch it as well, and I like how the movie that came out, it had the Penguin as kind of like a low-level criminal, right? He wasn't the kingpin of anything at that point. That was kind of a really big risk, I'd say, from the director to be like, hey, you're going to have the Penguin in here, but he's not going to be like a high-level villain. He's kind of working his way up. So this show is super complementary to the movie and to the universe that he's trying to create. So I'm a big fan of it. Also, the new character, the kind of like the kid that, well, no spoilers, but he kind of takes a kid under his wing and he's kind of teaching him the ropes. So it's really grounded in that sense that you kind of see where he's coming from and his motives and stuff like that.
Matt Reeves' direction on Batman, he's stated very publicly, like, the fantastical elements of Batman are really it's not the wheelhouse that I want to get into. I want to push, like, the gritty, very realistic side of Batman, which, I mean, has been explored, but even in, like, the movies we've seen, it's been pushed a bit. And so I really like the direction he has, both, like, with the cartoon and with what he's doing in live action. I'm really excited to see what more he has planned. I mean, the second movie, I'm sure, will be fantastic. And I think ultimately it'll be a trilogy people look back on. Because the first movie did get a lot of hate for, like, oh, he's not even Batman. He's barely even there. Like, they don't understand he's like this young, inexperienced Batman. So when we see the full arc, I think people will have more so like rose-tinted glasses looking back on it. I think when it's a complete product, people will be thrilled with it.
I totally agree with that. I think it was I had to watch it twice to appreciate. The first time I watched it, I was watching it with my buddy who's a huge Batman fan, and he was like, "Yeah,
jeez, you have one of those too."
Yeah."
Sorry.
And we watched the Penguin together, and he was like, "That was really good." He's like, "I'm interested to see what they do with Sophia Falcone, which they call it Falcone, and I don't know if it's pronounced Falcone or Falcone." But
a Ra's situation.
Okay, I see. But I think in the Long Halloween, she's Gravestone or Graved, I can't remember, but she's like huge. Like she's this like big, massive lady.
Gravedigger. She's a monster truck. She's just a big monster truck.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers, I guess, for the comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if you haven't read that yet, you're missing out.
That's a cool Batman story. Like, what's wrong with you if you haven't read that yet?
Good.
So he was very interested to see what they do with her. But the actress, she is just dead in the eyes the entire time, and I love that. We all gathered here to talk about some Heroclix as well. And I know you guys just released a Heroclix podcast recently. So, and I was listening to that a little bit. So I'm trying to be like, I don't want to talk about these things because I feel like you guys just talked about these. But,
well, Alec, the beauty of Masters of Time is that there's so much we didn't talk about. And I actually have a few things to talk about. So, first point.
Who, you?
Yeah. Let me hop in, okay?
You got it. Start cooking.
Yeah. The first figure that I wanted to bring up and kind of gauge people's thoughts on like, is this going to be like a staple piece? Do you think you're going to see him a lot? Will he be just a fringe? Maybe just a fun piece? There's people have very strong, varying opinions on this one. John Constantine, where does he slot in?
That's a good one.
And then that's all Alex says, like, wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So anyways, how about a different piece, huh?
So anyways, the Penguin again. I was just kidding.
Go ahead.
Yo, go for it, man. Go for it.
I do think he'll have a spot. I do think he has a spot. I think he's a great support piece. Prob is massive. And I mean, kind of same way that Felix Faust was from Wonder Woman 80th. I think those characters, those figures have spots. How massive he'll be, he's got the he has the strength to be mega massive, and I just don't know if he will win worlds, though, if that's the real question. But
is that the standard to go off of, winning worlds? Absolutely.
No,
I don't. Okay.
I think what makes him interesting, the coolest thing about him is that he says other characters can't use probability control. That is obviously very, very strong, especially when we just got a set where like 3 out of 4 pieces have it.
Yeah.
But what makes that even better is that when you use Outwit or Perplex within range, not line of fire, just within range, so it can be modified, you roll a d6, and on a 4 through 6, you get to choose the direction of that. You can make people outwit themselves, perplex themselves, like whatever it is. But what makes that really cool is if you were to somehow get Shield onto your team, you can have a 9-range bubble of no outwit or perplex unless you want me to decide. And to me, that seems so incredibly strong. But then you look at 50 points and it's like, there's so much more I can do with 50 points. Like, do I want to bank all of that into one support character? And then keywords, you're only looking at mystical. Detective, I've messed around with a bit. It doesn't feel quite full enough. There is potential there. And Justice League and Justice League Dark as well. So I think like what I'm looking at him as is like a non-theme piece where you look to, really just play like kind of like a counter UAV on your opponent where it's like, I'm shutting off all your stuff. So I don't know what other figures quite complement with him. But a 9-range bubble to reduce like 2 powers that are always going to be prevalent in the game seems like it's worth investigating.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the big things for me is every time I start building with John Constantine, I put a character on and I'm like, oh crap, I can't utilize his prob now. Like, not John's, but that character's.
Totally.
My mind is still very much theme team. And I know that I still like doing the non-theme team as well, but it's been ingrained for a year, so now it's like, okay, now I got to remember that you don't have to do that. You don't have to do theme teams. But I think there's some type of control team gonna be showing up, a defensive control team with John Constantine, Ace, Despero.
How do you say it?
Despero. Sorry, Despero.
Oh, you said Despero.
Despero.
You said Despero. Come on.
Despero.
I'm definitely not going to be a person. I have no ground to stand on to correct anybody's pronunciation of anything.
I'm really bad at super bad at pronunciations.
Yeah, I'm bad at pronunciating. Yes. I love Despero. I guess to mention John Constantine, I personally am not looking at him that much, but again, Ian knows this. He doesn't have a past keyword. So unless it's past, I'm not really paying attention to it. I'm all on board for pass, but I do think you always have to worry about John Constantine. And on our show today that came out, or whenever the listener is hearing this, it came out Wednesday. I mentioned like, is Flash all that useful? Caveman Wally West Flash. And I think, especially like Ian kind of pointed out some very good Super Census pieces that have it. And of course, like Predagaton, John Constantine, especially when you have no access to prob, is super nice to get rid of whatever they have defensively to try to like knock these dudes out.
You really can't discount just flat shut off powers.
No, yes. I never do. And I love tempo. Trust me, I hate super senses. I hate that power, bro. I hate it. But still, the Caveman Wally West, I am still wary of just a little bit. It's not for that ability that I'm wary. It's
he's on the radar.
Action.
Oh, yeah.
He should always be on the radar.
Boat as Constantine, really. I think Constantine's a little better, but in the same like lineage of like, I don't quite know what I'm putting with this. I don't know what I'm fully looking to do. Obviously, I want to be defensive. I want to look to like control the board. But what am I really like? How am I killing things? What am I putting around this? I'm really struggling with Constantine to find those things. If you go the mystical route, Man-Thing I think is going to be a new standout. I think Jennifer Kale pairs very well with him. Obviously, you have access to things like Kong and Ghost Rider for damage. But then at that point, like, are you just, swapping out a few pieces of what already exists and slotting Constantine in? And is that good enough? Mm-hmm. So, and in the sense of like, like top level play, whatever, Constantine is very strong. I want to make that clear. He almost feels a little directionless. Where it's like, I just don't quite know what I want to do with him fully. Because at the end of the day, he's a 10 for 2, That's a tough ask at 50. But he does have a lot of control, so it could be worth it. I think for the most part, when you have the option of like, I can do a lot of damage or I can look to mitigate your damage, I think most of the time you lean towards like, I just want to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, no, I totally get. I see that. I think the one thing that really bothers me about, so obviously very Felix Faust inspired. I think there's no
no debate there.
No debate there. Yeah,
Faust was also just an 8 range, 20 points cheaper. He was a psychic blast. I mean, it was just he slotted in better as a support piece because he was in more of the support point value range. Whereas now, I mean, support costs more. Like Scott Porter's gone. Woohoo! We've talked about that. So it's just hard to look at a piece with that price tag who is like almost solely support. Yes, he's a little mobile. He can get a precision strike attack in, you know. But if that's what you're using your actions for, then it's just questionable. So really, it's a lot to do with his point cost. He does a lot of great things, but 50 is just, you know, that's a sixth of your build. That's a lot in today's game. So I think you just have to have an exact plan for him, and I just do not have that yet. But there is something there, 100%.
Yeah,
something there.
And I was thinking about how do you? I mean, outside of non-theme, it's like how do you theme mystical to have shield TA? But I forgot Forge exists.
Yes.
Honestly, there's so little shield in modern right now. It's actually, I double checked it as soon as Ian mentioned. I'm like, wow, there's like 5 pieces with the shield TA.
Brother
There's
Voodoo,
more,
the
but
non-prime is another
terrible.
option, but he is just terrible with Constantine because ultimately he's like just a prob piece, so he's a nothing because no prob. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. I think John will definitely. John is definitely something that you should definitely like know it exists, but I don't know if you build to counter him. If that makes
Probably
sense.
not.
No,
Just
probably
do
not.
it.
I wouldn't worry about him too much.
I
think
do have other sleeper picks though too.
Yeah.
So another one that I think people are largely overlooking, and it's crazy because this is a 70-point figure, but I really like the rare Supergirl. I think she's crazy.
Yeah, let's see
So-
what she does real quick. Okay.
We can dive into that quick. The main thing about her that I really like is her trait, which is Hope in Brigand's Wake. When another friendly character is damaged by an attack, if Supergirl hasn't healed them yet this turn, after resolutions heal that character 1 click, like essentially soul sorting your whole team, that just feels really strong. And then she also just has improved targeting through everything by herself, and she's a 12-4.
Yeah.
Like, is that not good? Is that not good enough? Maybe it's not like top table, you know, oh my gosh, gonna win worlds, but this is a figure that's really good. It gives you access to Superman TA as well, and she has her own stop click, so more than likely you'll have to hit her twice to kill her. I don't know. I'm not sure the direction I want to go with her either, but I keep looking at that effect and saying there's a lot of figures that could really, really utilize that. Like anything with a stop click, she makes inherently more valuable.
Yeah, and plus her damage power is really good because I think this will lead into another question though. But I think her damage power is really good just with the +1 modify if she attacks or is being attacked by a giant or colossal sized.
Yeah.
She has really good range. I mean, she's got technically 10 range with the hypersonic half the range with the range of 6, can see through elevated blocking, destroys blocking, and sees through characters and hindering. And you can't outwit her.
Yeah. Power Cosmic gives her willpower. Like, she seems like a pretty formidable piece. And when things like Kong and Flash Raptor are almost certainly going to be roaming the meta, yeah, being a 13-5 seems nice, or a 19 when they attack you. It's not bad.
You know,
So-
what combination I just thought of is Supergirl and Prince Kal-El, because Prince Kal-El says characters take a maximum of 3 damage from attacks. That way you take 3 damage and you heal 1 on all of your friendlies while your opponent takes all 3 every time. That'd be interesting.
That is
that's
pretty
a good
interesting.
Way to extend dials. Yeah, absolutely.
And you can, I mean, if you want to push that further, you can even put John Constantine and maybe Ace or something on there. So it's like no probs, no outwits. And
Yeah.
every time, once per turn, when I get hit, I heal. So it really is a don't die if you put Run Warmer Prime on there. It's like, well, even if you do get to kill one of my characters, they're coming back. Very control-y.
Yeah, there's a... Wow, I actually like that a lot. I think Prince Kal-El is another interesting one. I don't have as like strong of feelings for that figure, But I do like that we have like the throwing back to what if the Peace Machine trait of maximum of 3 damage from attacks. I think that's another thing. I mean, it's what makes Masters of Time so good, is that there are so many elements to build around. So while it might not be like a super popular one in Supergirl or Prince Kal-El, it's something where if you sit across from it's a new problem and you'll have to dissect it.
Honestly, that brings up a pretty good point, Ian. Like, I guess for a more like broad topic of discussion here, what is everybody's like top piece like that you're building out of or want to build with for Masters of Time?
Oh gosh. Somebody else go first. I got too many.
So many.
Yeah. So I guess some runner-ups real quick are you kind of talked about this in the last one. Caveman Wally West. I think he's amazing. I think Bucky's arm really works with him. Being 11 for 4, that can't be super sensed out of it. So even if you switch to that flurry click, you're still doing 3 penetrating per flurry, which on top of the hypersonic is 4 damage, then 3, then 3. If you want to roll the blades, you can. I personally wouldn't. Maybe if you're doing 3 damage, it might be worth it. But
Bro is not a gambling man. Bro's scared of gambling. Couldn't be me. You
see my Worlds game?
Fangs.
Did you see my Nationals game where I went straight to Isaac and gambled and lost that gamble so hard? I'm a gambler.
You got dealt 8s, dude. And you were like, hit me. Like, ooh, all right. That's for the real gamblers in the chat. You're welcome.
I really like Madame Xanadu Prime. I think she's really good. I think since Iron Inquisitor has left, she's the only character as of right now, besides maybe a few, she's the only reliable character for cheap that can give people Mastermind.
Well, that is not a common effect. Iron Inquisitor kind of spoiled people with that a little bit. Handing out Mastermind has really never been a huge or common effect at all in Heroclix. It's actually been a struggle in what many people would complain about, where it's like, famously, Dan Powell on Unimind, I wish I could just give this figure Mastermind, which is like, oh my gosh, it's insane. But yeah, like, handing out Mastermind has been so insanely strong, and I'm actually really happy you said Madame Xanadu Prime, because I am huge on her. Every time I look at her, it's just like, oh my gosh, she has an insane amount of support powers. She hands out Mastermind, which is just unheard of. Well, not as unheard of thanks to Inquisitor, but still like an insane ability, because this goes to everyone.
In the sense of handing it out universally, that truly has never existed in HeroClix.
True.
This is the
so
first.
It's like, yeah, I guess the trade-off with Iron Inquisitor is you're damaging your own Masters of Evil, your own Iron Inquisitor. It's a little scary. But this is like, okay, generate some 0-point bystanders. Generate some, like, whatever, who cares? Anyone can Mastermind to that. It's insane. So I don't know how I don't build a ton of teams with her, which is honestly tough, because there are so many good primes. Like, I want to put Reverse Flash on every team, and I want to put Madame Xanadu on every team.
Yeah, I think her with Mr. Mind is really nice. Big Mr. Mind. Because if you don't miss if you miss that shape change, then you can just Mastermind it away so you keep him alive. But if you hit that shape change, then you're just like, cool, like, deal 1 penetrating to somebody else, please. I'm not messing with the tarot stuff. I'm not going to bring tarot cards.
Yeah, honestly, I have a build with her right now where, I mean, if you listen to the show earlier today, I tell Ian, like, I'm literally going to play her. I'm just not going to play her tarot cards with her. Like, I'm just not. Like, the fact that she is a 30-point, gives out Mastermind, Perplex, Probability Control, TK Stealth, and she has Willpower, because why doesn't she, is insane.
It's so funny. I feel like the Prime slot is almost becoming like, all right, so which Prime is the best support piece sometimes? I know that, like, that's not entirely true, but, like, Madame Xanadu is just such a good support piece that it's definitely worth the Prime. She's almost like Mad Jim in terms of, like...
In terms of, like, versatility, a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I think what you're saying there actually holds more truth than you're saying, Alec, where the best Prime probably will shape towards what's the best support Prime. I think there's some legitimacy to that, because, again, we're in an era without Scott Porter, so inherently support is so much more expensive. Primes obviously get that, nice Prime reduction, so they'll probably be able to fit more into Primes, and you're seeing that in Madame Xanadu. So offense, there's a lot of figures that aren't Primes that can generate that. Support is harder to come by, so that might actually kind of shift my opinion on what the leading Primes will be, but Madame Xanadu is certainly in that discussion. Like, it's just hard to get as much as you used to, and she's close.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you guys talked about it because it's so funny because I've been talking to my buddies about how hard it is to find, and I know you guys talked about it too, how hard it is to find Perplex on an animal team because I've been running a lot of animals lately because I think animals are very strong right now. But yeah, the cheapest Perplex besides the Donald Duck, whatever his name is,
Howard the Duck. Don't you put respect on Howard the Duck's name. I love Howard the Duck so much.
Of the podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to. I'm just kidding. Is Detective Chimp 35 points. I look towards the play at home kit one because at least he gives support and protection from Mystic's team ability, which helps some figures out a lot. There's not a lot of there might be some. It's just hard to sell right now because there's not really any basis to go off of. Okay, so there's a lot of Invincible being played right now. Okay, there's a lot of this being played right now. So but yes,
and he does have an 18 defend, which might seem like nothing, but if you're playing Flash Raptor, it's like he gives a +1 for being adjacent, and then you get to borrow an 18, which is another +1. So it's not nothing. Like, there are some lower defense animals where that 18 defend actually matters. So Detective Chimp has a little bit more stock there.
Yeah.
Despero's a 17 as well if you're flexing into Time Stealers. So there's a little bit, there's something.
I also really like Diana the Chase. And
this is a controversial one.
Oh, yeah.
This is one I've heard such varying opinions on. This is the worst chase in the set. And then I had people at Worlds telling me, yeah, my next Worlds team is 100% going to have Diana. It's like, what? So tell us why, Alec. Why are you big on her?
So she gets characters across the map really easily if you attach it with one TK and if you attach the health cycle to her and give her hypersonic. Because unlike her counterpart, Zala Jor-El, she doesn't need a hit. She just needs to make the first attack. And then she just gets to place another friendly character that shares a keyword with her. And she has Amazon and Kryptonian, which isn't like super common. She has Deity, more common. Past, big.
Amazing. I love Past.
Ruler, big. Warrior, big. So all the Jurassic Leagues can... I know that most of them have full map reach, but having 100-point green torch just jump into your face is pretty rough. Or having Super Soar across the map is pretty rough. Just like all the way across the map.
We're talking at 50 points or 100?
For Diana?
Yeah.
I think 50 is good. I think honestly she's going to be a very viable butterfly option. Plus, she just passively gives everyone +1 attack, and she has Empower. So, she is a little squishy, which is hard to say because she is 4 clicks long with invulnerability, but, I mean, if you deal 4 penetrating damage to her, she drops pretty quickly. But if you can somehow mitigate... I mean, you're going to use her for the alpha to bring up your big boy if they can't cross map. But sorry, all that to say, my number 1 pick that I've been is Ultra Humanite.
Love him. I love Ultra Humanite.
I do too. I think his move 2 characters 3 squares with the animal keyword is just really good. It procs Super Soar to move full map reach. It procs Caveman Wally West to very closely make it. Super Soar, Deadpool and Hitmonkey. Yep, absolutely. Mr. Mind, if you want to, just to get him a little bit closer. Yeah, I really like Ultra Humanite. You could fit Perdegaton on that team too, because he makes everybody Time Stealers. His mind control ability is really good. 6 range, so I always try and use him as a Khonshu person as well, just because of the 6 range is giant, so he sees everything, and he has stealth with that as well. So I think he's kind of more of a deployer / support piece that holds up way better than other characters in that role. And he's only 5 points more than... he's 55 points. And also, opposing characters can't carry more than 1 character, so no Green Lantern.
Which, that might... And Underworld, too, which is becoming just cheaper and cheaper, it feels like.
Yes.
So... Yeah, really, really dig that piece. I mean, who I want it to be is shifting focus Batman, but it's tough, guys. Honestly, I'm running into the same issue that I am with Constantine, where I just don't know the direction that I want to take Batman. I can feel it in my bones that there's something there. I don't know what it is yet. So I'm really trying to like build with him and experiment with him. But ultimately, they all just do such different things that it's like, okay, what's the primary function of this Batman? Like, yes, he's a Swiss Army knife, but what is it that I'm like really looking to land every single game? And I just haven't figured that out yet. Outside of that, though, my number one, it's just not even close because he enables way too much. It's Flash Raptor.
Oh, yeah.
Flash Raptor he's crazy.
Yeah.
On the podcast, I kind of listed him as a coin flip of do you buy him now or is he too high? Will his price go up? I still don't know for sure. I want to say yes. I think this guy is so good, though, that he's probably going to have, like, he's going to be in the errata scene. Like, he might be being looked at. He's too good. It's crazy. Like, the defense modifier not being unique. Being able to place, like, anything if it's been damaged. Getting to precision strike Quake with giant reach or colossal reach, whatever. 3 square reach precision strike Quake is just... I just don't think people realize how good that power combination is. And then on top of that, 4 through 6 senses with shape change, not exactly easy to hit. JLA to give him an attack buff. He just seems like one of the most hyper-efficient attackers in the game, but he also offers so much utility in defense and placement. I don't know how this guy doesn't... Like, this is a world's winning piece in my mind. This figure is insane.
I agree.
And he works with Ultra Humanite.
That's really what it comes down to.
So he's my clear number one. He's been on probably like 8 or 9 out of the 10 teams I've been building, just absurd amounts. He's so good.
Absolutely. I agree.
Asael, you got any thoughts here?
I do have a thought. My favorite figure for this set I used this weekend and built around him is Despero. Despero I like for 2 main reasons. The first reason is 2 traits, really. The first trait is that for all characters with this trait, when another character uses TK, after resolutions deal 1 unavoidable damage to any characters they place. So after the meta that we saw at Gen Con Live, of course, the metagame is a lot different now, but at least in Gen Con, I had never really seen gameplay where it's like, if you don't get the alpha first, you're probably cooked. You're probably done. You just can't really come back from that. And that was so demoralizing to see. It's like, geez, yeah, if you lose map roll and you get alpha first, what are you going to do? So I like that this slows the game down a little bit. Like, hey, you have at least one more turn to set up before it gets crazy here. And he helps with that. Although it is just unavoidable. If it had been like, oh, you just can't use TK unless it's him at all, then that'd be way better. But the one unavoidable is okay. I'll take it. A lot of characters drop or change powers or stats one click down. So I like that you can kind of control the speed of a game, tempo, like Kalder said. And the second trait I really like him for, and it's probably the biggest one for me, is that you can choose the sideline or your opponent's sideline element, and what does it say? And it can't use sideline active effects or leave it sidelined. So another figure I really, really do not like is Mern. So Mern coming in from Butterfly is the main reason I'm thinking Despero's going to be really clutch. You just pick Mern, he just doesn't come in, and you can keep your stat bonuses and stuff. Mern is just clearly a staple, and it's going to be a staple until he rotates in the metagame, especially with this whole Butterfly thing going on. I actually had a game this weekend where my opponent was using Butterfly and then turning into Mern. Sadly, I didn't go first. I believe you do have to go first, choose that game element before it comes in. So that was a little upsetting, but he's also great support. He's got mind control, dual target, 11 attack, senses, and prob. And sees through characters. He also deals 3 damage with Pensai if you ever wanted to just take a shot with 6 range and sees through hindering. I really like the guy. I don't know what if he's a good guy or bad guy. I don't really know too much about him.
He's bad.
But also Despero in Spanish, the word desesperado means desperate. So I like the fact that if your opponent wants to be desperate to TK a figure, he takes penalty for it for being desperate. So I like that.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Does he actually get rid of any butterfly? Because like Despero specifically says the game element can't use sideline active. I guess it says he can't leave the sideline. So yeah, never mind. I apologize. You are 100% correct. Yeah, that is actually really sick. I never thought about it that way.
Screw you, Khonshu. Screw you,
yeah. Ooh, also that. I like the idea of saying screw you, Chthon.
Value.
I'm a big fan of saying, like, you don't get Chthon on your team. Now that stat mods have toned down with the retirement of the porters, getting rid of someone's Chthon, I think, is really strong. And honestly, Asael, I love Despero for, like, him saying you take damage, not as a hindrance to an Alpha Strike for, like, an opponent, but as a way to self-damage. I love self-damage. I love it so much. I love kind of it used to be called like a banner click when somebody was like weak or had Earthbound top dials. You had to deal them a damage or push to it back when pushing was a thing, to get like access to like their real dial or their better clicks. And there are so many older figures and legacy figures that still have that same philosophy of like changing dramatically or at least just enough on their second click that you want to activate them. So, and there's also other figures like Flash Raptor that goes off based on like people taking damage. So now you get to control that. You get to say, okay, not Despero TKing, but Protegaton or any other insanely strong, cheap TK piece, Madame Xanadu, can now TK something when Despero is on your team, deal a friendly character a damage, and then trigger effect like having Flash Raptor be able to drop them off
like our
in your
buddy
opponent's
Flash
face.
Raptor.
Exactly. So I love it. I love it a lot. Like I'm right there with you though. I love Despero. I think he's awesome. And also get your Beetlejuice out of the game. Just I feel like we also mentioned that. Ian brought that up on our show. Like just saying, no Beetlejuice this game. So strong. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think people have Despero on their radar. I don't think they have him on their radar enough, which is weird to say because, like, we were just talking about Constantine being like, 50 points for a support character. I don't know. Despero, it's like, I want to play this. And you can throw him on an animal team, which is always awesome. So, again, triggering Flash Raptor, he makes it so much easier. Boom, there it is. You're hand delivering whatever you want just from TKing it. So, yeah. This is a piece that people need to look at closer, 100%.
Yeah, one of the big things I was thinking about was with specifically an animal with I almost said Desperado. It's not his name. Despero. Is
that ain't it either?
What? No, it's not.
Despero.
I'm a desperado. I'm gonna put a cowboy hat on him now. Desperado. I got the 10-shot double target, 2 6-shooters pointing right at you, Batman. I like Desperado. Well, if he's going to be called Desperado, I think that's how he would talk.
Removing the pieces from the table. That's my Western voice. Is that pretty Omaha?
So Omaha, dude.
Yeah, it's really Omaha, dude.
Basically Nebraskan.
Yeah, anytime they let out a country concert across the street from my work, I see Kalder walk by like 100 times.
Which is funny because I'm never in that crowd.
I'm not. Now I can't say it right.
Despero.
Now Despero. With Despero being around with the telekinesis trait, you can do your own character, right? So you can get characters that maybe mesh well with the Ultra Humanite. And the one that I was thinking about the most was Weapon X. Like getting him completely across the map and then triggering Flash Raptor. Well, so you TK him out with somebody else, Protegaton or something. You have Flash Raptor Alpha, pick up Weapon X, drop him off. Then you can roll Weapon X's free move and heal thing and potentially heal him up and then deal penetrating damage to people before he even attacks. And then he's going to charge Flurry Piece on top of all that.
That's awesome.
And I think that's just like one of those things where I was just like, man, yeah, you're right. Flash Raptor just enables so much.
I mean, you think Blackheart was a problem? Welcome to Flash Raptor.
Yeah,
I think he's going to get errata to be opposing effects, like damaged by opposing effects. And if they don't, then he's just going to run every table, like quite literally run every table right across. So I think another piece to touch on where I'm excited to try this one out. I'm excited to try and make monsters, potentially even like mystical work with this character. But Swamp Thing Prime, I like him. I don't love him, but I like him. I like him enough to where it's like maybe this is what will finally make Black Lantern Batman work. Now that we're in an era where things are like, they're just easier to kill, like things don't have insane offense and insane defense, there's more trade-off. There are still a few standout figures that do both. Sending a Batman across the map is pretty easy to do. Pick up a grave marker, drop it off, poof, here's Batman. And if you have a grave marker under you, which is also not particularly hard to do, I'm flurrying you and you have no reducers. That seems good. I don't know if it's the best, but it seems good enough to consider.
So when I started playing competitive HeroClix, one of the biggest teams that I kept on seeing was Sakarian Iron Man with the X-Men swap.
Say that again?
Sakarian?
Oh, okay. You said like Sakarian. Right away you said Sakarian Iron Man.
Sakarian?
I think I say Sakarian.
The Sackman?
It is Sakarian. I think it is Sakarian, but I definitely say Sakarian.
He was cut from the episodes, right? So we never actually got to see him in action.
In season 2, we did. He did nothing. He did nothing like you actually thought he would. But in season 2, he appears and he becomes a car. That's what he does. He's a car.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to legacy him to. Transfer.
Oh gosh.
That's what his special movement power is going to be or something. It's just going to be transfer 4.
Keyword.
Vehicle keyword.
Yeah, phasing passenger 4.
Phasing passenger 4. That's it.
That's it. Yeah. That's what his damage power does. And then it's just nothing else. He loses his like collecting junk trait, lose it all.
It doesn't just, that's, that'd be such a brutal, I feel like a lot of people would be upset with that and just be like, I'm just going to play him silver.
Yeah.
So a big team that I remember seeing was him with the X-Men swap force. And it wasn't themed, but it was like, I have the Sackman over here, and then I have maybe like 1 or 2 support pieces, and the rest of my team is going to be X-Men. And then whatever I sit across the table, I can swap into characters based on what I see. Do you think that that's something that's going to be kind of relevant with the Black Lanterns, where like you're going to allocate like 150 points to Black Lanterns, and then the rest of the team will be just something else, helping them be engined?
I think where you look is monster keyword. I haven't dove super deep into this one, so I don't know for sure. But it very much feels like the pairing of Black Lantern Batman and then the Black Lantern Swamp Thing. And from there, kind of figuring out the rest of how you're getting those grave markers to your opponent. And I think if you find that out, you have a pretty decent shot to do some big damage. The big drawback, though, and it's always been Batman's drawback, he's willpower. He just dies, and you don't want to heal him because then he loses his ability to poof across the map. So it's a glass cannon build, but the thing is it's a glass cannon that can shoot some cannonballs. They can hurt. And what really, really hurts it and ultimately makes me look at it less is that they are all murnable targets, so Batman's ability to say, you can't see me, yes, I can. So I want to like him more, and I'm trying to like him. I do like him, but, I understand he's probably not quite there, but it's still probably something I'll mess with.
Do you guys think Myrn is going to stay as relevant as he is with the exclusion of the Scott Porters and a lot of the stat buffs that have been going around with Perplex kind of be harder to find?
Yes.
100%.
Because it works offensively too. It's a two-way tool. And he's also a leadership. And then another underutilized aspect of him is giving out Suicide Squad. Like that's not nothing. Yes, he's a little bit of a liability on offense. So we go back to the point of 50 points for support. What am I doing here? Is this worth it? When you can generate so much offense from that, I mean, Assassins, like, you have to play Myrn with them. If you're looking at something like Hawkeye, you have to play Myrn. So any range-based team, I think Myrn is like almost an auto include. You have to play him. So in that sense, I think more so, because it's been a little bit of a dance where it's like we looked at Myrn when he first came out as this offensive monster, and that was it. And then people realized, oh wait, he's a defensive monster too. And so at Gen Con, we saw Isaac win it all with that, doing the 7-range bubble before the errata, saying no stat modifiers. And now I think we've kind of shifted back to this is an offensive monster where you can't hide from me.
Yeah.
One point that was brought up on another show, Critical Clicks, was that if you play Starro and you play Prime Colossus, who shuts off Battle Fury, and you play Myrn, your Battle Fury cannot stop my mind control, and you hiding anywhere cannot stop my mind control. If you are a murnable target, I can mind control you. So things like that probably exist in other facets with Mern, and that is why he will be relevant for, like Asael said, for his entire stay in Modern.
I think especially with Assassins for sure. And I played in the Rock tournament on Friday, or whatever, the Winamap, the online Winamap. And one thing that they let us know like 5 minutes beforehand was, oh yeah, this tournament, Rock's Bunker is legal. So I'm like,
oh, that was
shoot.
chill. No, that's a pretty chill thing.
I was like, oh shoot. Yeah, so that was something that was very interesting, and Mern definitely being able to shoot from that lower elevation just up with especially like Shadoo, because I was running the Kingpin Shadoo team.
Oh, based?
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I was just like, yeah, I can shoot you. And they're like, how? I'm like, well, I have Mern, and they all have 7 range and running shot. So I'm just going to sit on this bottom wall and just shoot you through the wall because you share keywords. And I don't understand. It's one of those things where it's just like, I wonder how much Brock's Bunker is going to, I wonder if we're going to go back to like a Gen Con kind of thing where it's like, if I lose maps, like, well, I'm just going to Brock's Bunker. We're just going to slow down everything.
I think we're very much headed that way. I mean, there are we've talked about a billion ways to deliver a team across the board. That's usually what a team looks to do. And unless you're trying to run a control variant, I don't see why it wouldn't be. But again, in just a general line of thinking for Heroclix, I think statistically it's more favorable to bet on you hitting, because then you have full control of the situation in a sense where it's like, I'm establishing what I'm doing and now I'm going to do it. As opposed to, I will wait for what you're going to do, which is going to be a variable across every game I have, and I'm going to hope I can stop it. So I think in general, offense beats defense. Defense doesn't win championships in Heroclix. At least I don't think it does.
Badly.
So I think just on a broader scale, Brock's Bunker is kind of the answer for that, because you have to limit it one way or another. And if you are going to Brock's Bunker, then you're probably thinking, well, maybe I need Mern, especially if you're ranged.
That makes sense. I'm very excited to see the mix of ranged and close attackers moving forward.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
I just recently realized, and it might just be me, maybe it's something I just recently realized, you guys probably already knew this, but there are 16 by 24 maps legal in Modern right now. And these are the rock maps from last year. Is there any world where those are actually played?
Well, I think with the recent ruling around tournaments saying short maps only, we'll have to wait for WizKids to comment on if those will be. I mean, if they are legal, 100% they'll be played.
Yeah, they'll absolutely
I don't think
get
they'll be
played.
legal.
That throws a wrench in so many plans, but I doubt they'll be legal. I agree with Ian.
I
So
kind of
what
hope
is
they
the
are.
next WizKids event, though?
I kind of hope they aren't, Alec, actually. I'm not going to lie. Played these long maps for too many years.
From a filming perspective, get those.
Oh
long
my
maps
gosh,
out of
yes.
here.
Come on, Alec. As a YouTuber, as a man of culture, as a man of the grind.
It messes up the composition.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, that's not how I talk, bud, but I appreciate it, Chief. Yeah, seriously, it
No,
does.
you sound
It's
exactly like that.
such a bigger pain in the butt to deal with long maps than it. The short maps for filming, they're goated. Ugh.
They are. I agree with that. Short maps are the best for filming.
Neoprene short map doesn't get any better.
I agree, dude.
I do wish we had more neoprene maps. I would like more like official WizKids maps that are neoprene. That would be great. I did love the ones that came out 2017, 2016, kind of around that era when they just released these big neoprene maps. There was like the convention hall indoor was one of my favorites. The office center, the outdoor like parking kind of one. Like those were great maps. And I would love to see more WizKids official neoprene maps. That'd be really nice. Or like neoprene maps of like the normal flat maps we get. Like, if there's a neoprene Atlantis throne, oh baby, that'd be awesome.
What do you guys think about the? What do you guys think about the? Do you think WizKids is missing out on giving players buildable like 3D versions of maps in terms of like you could buy elevated terrain that's actually elevated off the map so you can tell?
Dang.
No, it doesn't do anything for me personally. I
don't want
I've
to
gotten
spend
old.
like $40 on a building. I'd rather just have some more like Batman. Or you know what I mean? It's like I'd rather have like new characters. Like ultimately, you know, like from like a company perspective, you'll allocate however much money into making your product. Putting it into like terrain, I don't know. That just doesn't seem right to me. I don't think there's like HeroClix players clamoring for that either. If you want that, I think there's avenues to visit. You know, there's Crisis Protocol. I think for like the more in-depth gamer who like wants to
Honestly,
play things, makes more sense.
Getting into Crisis Protocol like a little bit, I'm not sold on the gameplay. I think HeroClix is just a better game as far as like a superhero gameplay game is. But I love the way Crisis Protocol looks. I bought a bunch of miniatures earlier this year. I painted up a bunch of them.
Did you buy any buildings?
The idea of painting a building, I'm just like, ugh, why? Like,
what am I at work?
I have what's it called? I have one building right now that I primed, and I was like, it's like a shipping container. And I'm just like, there's no joy in that. This feels like a chore. Like painting the superheroes and being like, oh yeah, Cap's red, white, and blue, and getting these colors to look nice, or Human Torch and War Machine had these really cool flame effects, and it's like, oh, this is so much fun. But it's like, I guess the shipping container is green and it has a black wash. Like there's no joy in this. Bob Ross, there's no joy in painting this car. Like this sucks. So I don't know. I'm with Ian on the terrain, and some people might find like, oh wow, cool 3D terrain, whatever. But I can live without it. I think effectively what we currently have for like terrain, where it's just flat, it's very clear, it's visible what it does. I think that's totally fine, and it mirrors how a HeroClix map functions. So I don't have a clamoring for 3D
agree with
terrain.
Alec on this one. I think 3D terrain would actually be really cool. I actually never thought about that. As far as WizKids, I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't like the idea, because they're gearing into kind of like thematic gameplay with one-shots coming out and vibranium tokens being mined on your sideline. That'd be really cool to have 3D terrain. As far as like a new player, I'm sure walking around a game store, you see, you know, a couple guys playing HeroClix with 3D terrain with Spider-Man on top of a, I don't know, 3-story building taking shots on Green Goblin. I think that'd be kind of cool to look at. As far as painting it, I don't think I'd paint it. I'd hope it comes already pre-painted. I've never painted anything in my life, so I don't look forward to doing that. But
you painted that suit.
Really cool.
Don't lie to me. You painted that suit.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Yes, you got me there. You did get me there.
Dang, receipts.
But as far as like little figures or a game, I've never done that, so I don't want to paint it. But I would definitely buy that 100%. Of course, rolling dice would suck because you're kind of like throwing it at buildings and it starts, you know, messing everything up. But
and that's also kind of like, again, the problem with HeroClix being this kind of game on this like flat surface, because now, like, I think we've all played a game where a character drops an equipment or like the motorcycle, and it's like, yes. Or like, yeah, let's just go with like an equipment where you can occupy those spaces. But now the entire game is shuffled around this weird 3D element where technically I can occupy that space, but now it's just weird and it's kind of off to the side, or you know what I mean? It's like awkward having some of these like 3-dimensional elements when like the map itself is flat.
I also don't need another thing to carry to the game. There's enough. There's enough. The sideline, the team, the tarot, blah, blah, blah. There's enough stuff.
Yeah, and then all the awesome people who make those cases and trays and stuff will have something else to make a tray for. You gotta carry like 5 of them.
My building box.
my Lego box.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, carrying around would be such a nuisance.
Like, capping that off, though, I will say, anytime I see, like, in the creative space, like, people who make, like, a fully 3D map, that's cool.
Oh, it is. That is sick. Absolutely.
Don't want to own that because it's like storing that seems like a pain. But when I see it, I'm like, yeah, that rocks.
I agree. I always look back. I don't know if you guys ever watched this or not. I've kind of talked to you maybe a little bit about it, Ian, but there's the very popular channel Smosh. I don't know if you guys remember that or not.
Grew up on it. Oh, yeah.
I grew up on
Smosh?
Yeah.
Remember Smosh? Is that what you asked me, Alec?
Yeah, I did ask that. Because they're making their comeback. Well, they made their comeback.
Yeah, I was born in 1998. Of course I know Smosh. That was prime internet years for child Kalder.
That's prime internet years? Homestar Runner?
Those are. Yeah, dude. The pink frosted donut versus the whatever Anthony always said. He had the random food.
Yeah, the random, yeah.
He always had a random food, and the pink, frosted donut. Ian likes to think that I cosplayed a certain Smosh character at one point. I want to say for the record, I did not.
Was it
Not the
Shane?
intent behind it.
No.
There's somebody good.
It was somebody with a power glove.
Guy in real.
Teleporting
anything in
fat
real
guy?
life. I hate you.
Yeah. Yeah, Calder cosplayed him.
Yeah. Stop. But yeah, no. Old Smosh is classic.
It
Awesome.
is. I
Love Old
agree.
Smash.
Once
Wild. Yeah.
Once Anthony
It's
switched
wild.
his hair out of the emo, it kind of went kind of weird.
That's how he knew it went downhill. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, they had when they were going, actually right around that time, they started making all these different channels, like Smosh Cartoons, Smosh Games.
I remember the first wave of Smosh cartoons. Some were legit.
Some were. I there was a couple I remember, but well, actually, I don't even remember them. But I remember if you show me a picture of them, I'll be like, oh,
Bro
I
doesn't
remember
remember Ninjas versus Zombies. Bro doesn't remember Real Life Anime Girl. The sort of.
Oh yeah, wait, that's the
cartoon,
one.
sort
I
of.
remember that one.
I knew you would like that one, Alec.
I knew it. Dang it.
Little bro changed.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
The Smosh Games did a whole HeroClix 3-part series leading up to Infinity War.
right?
Yes, yeah. And they used they actually made the 3D towers and stuff like that. That'd be a very interesting case study to watch that, and just watching it from like a perspective of like actual HeroClix players versus these people who have like, and obviously they did it more like D&D style. But I could tell that the people, at least the guy running it, Jovenshire, I think his name was, he really enjoyed it. But anyways, I was just thinking about that, like the whole cityscape that they made was like really, really cool.
They definitely turned it more into a storytelling type of a game. They knew they had to make it more cinematic for viewers that aren't necessarily there for mechanics and specific things. They're only there for like the fun interactions of the Smosh crew, right? They're fans of Smosh, and this just needs to be a good-looking avenue for them to kind of riff off, tell jokes, do whatever. I did watch that video a while ago. Matt Reed, big, big, yes, but just big fan of HeroClix, big fan of Dilation, like all the stuff we do, all of us. Was telling me that's how he got started playing HeroClix, was because of that Smosh video. And I was like, you're kidding. Never even heard of this before. But you're right. The way they do it is they use HeroClix mechanics, but they definitely have it like the decision-making process. And some rules are bent to be more like, I like to call it like rule of cool, or like D&D style, where it's like, this is what a more cinematic game of HeroClix would look like. We kind of bend the rules a little bit for the sake of entertainment.
I really did enjoy that. But yeah, that's what I think about when I think of 3D maps.
There's a great 3D video. I want to say it's either some random venue made this, or this is like a DC Comics official YouTube video. Maybe Ian might know what I'm talking about. But this is around the time of Trinity War and the Flash set. So like 2014, 2015.
Oh yeah, they did this as a promo for Trinity War. They played that match with the big building in the middle.
Yeah. So Ian doesn't
like
know.
the Ultra Chase White Rabbit and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do
That's
remember
a really
this.
cool game. They shoot that game very cinematically, and the players know what they're doing, which is really cool. This one dude, his whole team is based off this character from Flash called Swift, and about how she can move for free. And back then, you could do poison even if you were moved. It just had to be like the first thing you do during the beginning of your turn. And also back then, if you took free actions that didn't end your beginning of the turn phase, it was a little bit of a different game. And so his whole team was like about swooping down, getting next to his team and poisoning for free. It was very cheesy team at the time. It was crazy that was like what that guy was playing on this like very kind of seemingly casual, fun setup of this big like city map. So like that's another great game using like a 3D map of HeroClix.
Yes, I do. I actually do remember that. I have seen that. I couldn't tell you what happened, but it was in a comic book store, right? Or something?
Yeah. I believe it was like in a comic book store.
Indeed.
Man, old school HeroClix videos, man. They're crazy. I wish
love them.
I know. I wish some of those people were still. That's how we learned the rules. It took us years to figure out how to play HeroClix. Literal years of like.
It took me years too. I like basically, when I first got into the game of HeroClix, I didn't give anybody action tokens because nothing came with action tokens. So reading it in the rule book, it says like use pennies or pebbles or poker chips or dice. And I'm like, well, you didn't give me any of those things, so I'm not going to do that. And then I go to this comic book store for the first time I play Heroclix. Well, actually, that's a lie. I played against my buddy, and he was like, I finished my turn, and I'm like, okay, that's it. And I'm like, well, aren't you going to give them all action tokens? And I'm like, nah, not really. And he's like, no, you have to give them action tokens. Very fundamental part of Heroclix that I was just ignoring because it was like just said once right away in the rules, and I was like, yeah, whatever, nerd. And then I just kind of moved past it. So yeah, like I did not know how to play Heroclix for a very long time. It took me like years to learn how to play this game. Yeah, it's hilarious.
No, I knew how to play right out of the jump at 4 years old. I was a baller from the start.
He came out the womb with action
again.
tokens.
All right.
Bro,
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. No, learning how to play, I don't even really remember learning how to play because it was just kind of show up on Friday, watch my brother play, hang out, eventually get to a point where I'm playing, and I don't know. I think like when I was like 11 or 12 is when I started to like actually get good and realize like, oh, you can like strategize in this game and do more than just play like I'm playing Superman, I'm gonna hit you really hard, so.
Yeah. Did you guys ever have that? Asael, you're pretty new to the game, right?
Yeah, I'm coming close to 2 years now.
Okay, so you're in like I feel like this is really the best Heroclix has been, and I have only from like 2014, 2013, and forward to compare that to. Would you guys have this too? Just have that one guy at the shop that just was like always just ran it, just ran the tables.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, get ready to roll your eyes. There it is.
It was.
Uh-huh. Okay, dude.
I retired for a year. I came back. I won 6 weeks in a row just playing goofy stuff, man. I was running tables.
Heck yeah. You were the man.
Now,
I used to be.
Whenever I would go to like locals, so not many people know this, but like obviously I was born in a really small town, so I didn't have Heroclix local to me until I eventually moved just a few years ago. So for the first like almost 10 years of my Heroclix career, Heroclix was always a trek. It was 170 miles away in like both directions. So I never had a local shop for a long time. So when I
one foot through the rain,
a little, I was kind of. I
The
remember
74 blizzard.
Yeah. I remember like when people would drive through the interstate of South Dakota, if they're heading west, I like all of like my cousins, my aunts, like anybody I could take. I was like, please take me to Rapid City. Oh my gosh, please. I'll stay the night. I'll find a way back. Like, when I didn't have a car, I couldn't drive as a kid. So I'm like begging these people if they ever drove past the interstate to like pick me up so I could play Heroclix. And it almost never worked except for one time when I got to get a month 3 of Civil War, which is baller. Anyways. So yeah, like I didn't never really had like locals growing up. So my locals are more, like every once in a while I would play out in like Rapid City. So it was pretty fun. It was pretty cool. I never remembered anybody being like stomping there necessarily. I only played once every 3 or 4 months out in Rapid. But there was just like one guy who I couldn't stand because he did always play the meta stuff. But because they played on Mondays, he also watched Monday Night Raw on his phone while we're trying to play Heroclix. And I was just, that was the most, and I like wrestling. And I'm just like, that's the most obnoxious thing ever. And, when you're a kid, at least for me, when I was a kid, you're not good at the game. You're not winning, so it feels worse when this dude's like playing Brother Voodoo Prime and he's just stomping you. And you're just like, whatever, man. You're not even paying attention.
This was the old Brother Voodoo Prime who was like complete.
Yeah. He was
all something
like evil. The old Brother Voodoo Prime was nasty. Way nasty.
Brother Voodoo Prime. Now I gotta look him up because I remember having this piece. He's had a staff in the air.
Basically, what you could do is you could move him his full movement with phasing, and then you could Heroes for Hire, phase him again, so he's 20 squares out, and then he could mind control as free, so you could just do whatever you wanted. And you could just feed whoever you wanted to your Ghost Rider, who could then just, hit you for like 7 to 14 damage. It was a brutal era, and that's what won Worlds that year. And it was also like 80% of the field.
Bro,
So I remember Voodoo Prime was dirt.
Back then, like another thing, another interaction I had with that guy was I was playing again, very early on in Heroclix career, I only played just teams of all Captain America. So I was playing Hammer of Thor Captain America, who I didn't realize that he was like a nasty, dirty, cheesy piece to use. I was just like, well, this is so clearly, obviously the best version of Captain America that I have in my collection. And he was like, really? You're playing that piece? And I just remember looking at him like, bro, you've been playing like Nightcrawler, Brotherhood Prime, Ghost Rider. Like, I get to play this game once every 3 months, and I somehow keep getting paired against you. I want to rip your head off. You're going to be mad at me for playing Cap. He's like 6 looks of life. And like, yeah, obviously you're not going to hit him because I'm behind a million pieces of terrain, but still, like, come on, bro. Like, I hate,
I'm looking for that one right now. No, you're good. I'm looking for that one right now. I have, here he is. Hammer of Thor.
Cap? Oh my gosh,
oh, it's Smoky Foot.
Smoky Foot, yeah, Smoky Foot, the goat, dude. Like, just being like, hey, I see through everything, but walls and indoor blocking, everything but walls and indoor blocking. Month 1 of AVX, I played again. You had to play at least one figure from the AVX starter, and there was a Captain America in that, which all that matters. And we played Golden Age because it's hilarious. And I played him on the Limbo outdoor map, which is this snowy mountain, which has like 4 or 5 different levels of elevation. And yet the shield just cuts through it all, and it rocks. So, yeah, I love that piece. Literally so many good memories with the OG Hammer of Thor, like Smoky Foot Cap. He's just so iconic. He's just so awesome.
8 range. Jeez Louise.
Oh, yeah, dude. 8 range. You just shield TA him up. Or playing with Weasel, he gets +1 range, +1 attack, +1 damage. And you just turn this dude into a cannon, and it rocks.
That's banana. 8. I mean, I'm looking at other caps. None of them other caps seem to have. They have 6 range.
6 is very much the normal range for Captain America, and now it seems it's like 4 to like 3 is the new normal for Captain America. Which I guess he's slinging a big disc. It's not a sniper rifle, but still. But yeah, 8 range was kind of unheard of for Steve. What?
Not where I thought. A big disc.
Disc. It's a big disc. Goodness gracious! Wow, that was a kid-friendly show.
Kids play
Mr.
this
USA.
game.
Yeah.
Oh,
some kids are the best at this game.
Oh, I'm so excited! I'm so excited for like just watching Oliver play.
Dude, Oliver's awesome. Oh my gosh, that kid is insane. Like, holy smokes! Like, that is so awesome that is his energy and his attitude toward Heroclix.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, Christine and Ryan, you guys are doing a good job.
Yeah, I don't know who I mentioned this to, either Calder or Ian, but whenever he was reading off the Super Pets set, the Superman set, he read like 2 cards. I was like, wow, he actually, like, this kind of sounds kind of mean, but he knew what he was talking about. He was like, oh wow, that's really cool. I was like, wow, this kid really knows what he's doing with Heroclix. So I've never seen him play before, so that was really awesome to see.
Yeah, I still have to meet. I haven't met them yet. I really want to meet that. Like, I really want to meet Ryan, and I really want to meet Oliver, and obviously the wife too. But like, I've never met them. Christine, sorry,
the wife too.
The wife.
Come on to your own podcast. You get Ryan's wife's name right.
I'm sorry. Oh man. Asael, is this your first time on it? This is your first time on a podcast, correct?
No.
Nope.
He hasn't heard of the episode then. I've been on Dilations.
Fake fan.
Whenever we announced the IPF event here in San Antonio, they had me on, actually. So, not my first time. I'm not nervous. I'm not shy.
I was just going to ask about Alpha Clicks. Or Alpha Strikes, excuse me. And
bro doesn't know.
Fake fan.
Fake, dude.
Receipt.
So sorry.
Bro, take this guy back to PF Chang's, bro. Leave him there.
Give me my blue moon. So Alpha Strike, yeah. So you do a lot of gameplay videos. But you kind of came into that. Can you just talk about that real quick?
Sure, of course, man. So it kind of started, we had a local event here in Austin, Texas, or up in Austin, Texas. It was a regional, I believe it was a regional silver event, and I was going to compete, and I knew I was going to win it. So I asked the judge, I was like, hey man, do you mind if I recorded this match? And I'll probably just make a YouTube channel and just upload it on there, just because I know that there's not a lot of Heroclix content as far as gaming goes. About the game, like, Heroclix is all about, playing the game, and there's just not a lot of content for it out there. At the time, the biggest one that I would watch, at least, that would be consistent with the gameplay was Dice Station Zebra, and I love them, or I still do. But I was like, I want to do some more, maybe meta or local events, and get nasty with it. Get some good meta on there. And so I asked the judge, he's like, hey, yeah, that's fine. And he actually told me, like, hey, I actually have a YouTube channel that was passed down to me. If you'd like to toss the video up there, you can. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So he gave me the credentials of signing in and everything. And I was like, hey, you know what, do you want? After posting the video, it got like, I don't know, 200, 300 views pretty quickly. I was like, wow, this is a big channel that used to be pretty big back in this time. So I've been told, and Ian was a big fan of it back in the day as well with the original creators of the channel. So I asked, like, hey, what's the deal with the Alpha Strike? Can I continue to post videos on here? And he gave me the green light to continue posting. And so I just continue posting it. It was never my channel at the time. It was just kind of like, hey, you know what? I want more content for Heroclix gameplay out there. And it's really easy to do. Like, back in the day when I first started, back in the day, like a year ago, it was just raw content. I would just record the match and I'll just toss it up there. I put like a little thumbnail or something. I just tossed the video up there. The audio was kind of janky. There was no intro, no outros. It was just basic raw footage of gameplay, which is really what Heroclix needs. You don't really need a lot of editing and stuff going on. I know the OG creators used to do like they called it the battle box, which basically had the card that was being played and whatever effects that the players were referencing and stuff like that. Which I was like, I can't really edit that well, and I don't have that much time to be editing like that. So I'm just gonna do raw footage, and it picked up pretty quickly. Like Ian and Kalder say, I'm kind of like speed running the Heroclix YouTube content creator side of things. And so here I am, and I'm happy to announce, I'll announce it officially on your podcast, that the channel is now just officially mine. I am the sole owner of the channel now. So that was something that I had been working on with Brandon, the previous owner, making sure that I wasn't stepping on any toes, and we have a good agreement on what we want the channel to be eventually. So he
told you that too?
I'm sorry?
He told you that too? He gave it to me too.
What?
Well,
50-50 it is, man. 50-50 it is.
Yeah, no, I messaged him the other day. He's like, oh, yeah, no, I haven't given this to anyone else. You can just take it. I was like, okay, cool.
So that's who signed in last night at 2 a.m. deleting videos. So that's kind of the simple side of the story of it. So I guess one of the downfalls is that I just went to World without being a player. I've never been to Worlds being a sole player. So hopefully I can accomplish that in the coming years. But as far as everything is or where we're at, I really enjoy it, man. Like I said, being consistent with gameplay is awesome. The people loved it. The players, had took their time out of their day at Worlds and let me know that they really appreciate it. And, except for Diego, my friend Diego, he plays the Assassins, and he won Assassins in Austin. What was it? The Champion Clicks. And he's like, no, man, please don't post any more videos of my gameplay, because people are starting to see loopholes. So that's one bad thing that you can get from recording matches, that some players may not want their tech to be out there. So I did get a couple no's at Worlds, like, hey, no, I don't really want to be on camera, whether it's because they can feel the pressure from the fans watching live stream, which I will say thank you, Alec, for watching all 3 channels. You're a massive fan, and I really appreciate that you did that over the weekend. But there's a lot of people that were like, hey, I don't want to be on stream. Nothing against your channel or anything, but I just don't want to be on stream. Like, yeah, I get it, no pressure if you don't want your tech out there. But so there's a downside of being on stream as well and being recorded.
A really quick little just story about like not being on stream. When we got, and I'm not going to call out the players or say when it was, but when we were in one of the top cut games, I guess actually this does kind of spoil, I guess, who it might have been, but it was during top whatever, I guess 8 or 16, and we literally only had 4 games to watch, and we had 2 already set up, one on Facebook and one on the Alpha Strike. And I'm trying to talk to the other 4 players about like who I can get on stream, and both people both sides were just like, no, I absolutely do not want to be on stream. I don't want these games to be on stream. Maybe if I make it to the top 4 or whatever, I can be on stream. And I was like, no, guys, I'm sorry. I have to have one person on the YouTube stream. I absolutely have to have it. Like, we're at Worlds. People want to see this. I'm not going to let that stop. And so it can be some awkward times like that where you have to kind of force people. If it had this been at any other point in time, I would not have ever forced these players like 100% like no. But when there's like literally there's only 2 other games, like I need to have one of your games on
especially because it was the main table. It's like no.
Yeah,
we have the express written consent of you being in this event hall for us to film you. So march on over. We chained them up to the table. They had no choice, and then the rest is history.
That game was history.
It was.
Maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't
Dang. So now you just spoiled it. Thanks, Alec. I really appreciate that, bro. No acting. This man's never been in a play. He doesn't know how to act in his own little YouTube series. No acting bones in his body. Little Mr. Park Ranger over here, but he can't act for 1 second on the podcast. Thanks. I'm just kidding. Having fun, listener. We're having fun. I said we're having fun, right, Alec?
Hey,
this is fun.
We're having fun here. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
Glad we're all on the same page.
I'm
glad we're all on the same page. Glad we all agree.
I'm having a great time. Okay. I'm enjoying myself.
As Ian's eyes are darting to the watch, his watch.
I can feel his eyes on me right now, like through the walls.
Eyes, ears, everywhere.
Are you guys in the same room when you guys record?
We are normally, but
not right now.
No.
Makes sense. No, I totally get that.
It works better for like being able to like listen through Discord and this, hear
not having to be around Kalder.
Yeah, things like that.
Does he stink?
Kalder, do you have your cowboy hat on right now?
I guess I could, but no, you don't wear a cowboy hat in your house. You don't wear hats in the house.
Kalder's literally playing Fortnite on his phone right now, probably.
You have no idea how badly I want to play Fortnite throughout this call right now, but I've been holding it together, and I'm not playing Fortnite at all while we're recording a podcast. I'm a professional. Thank you.
Are kind of right, especially in the since Nationals at least. You guys have been the front runners and Dial 8 more so for the last couple of years of streaming and being the sole commentators of Heroclix content, which has been really great. And do you guys miss or really yearn to play ever at those events?
Well, there's 2 sides of it. I think, when this journey started for me, like about 3 years ago at this point, I knew that it would be a trade-off of if we want to do these things, then it comes at the price of like playing the game. So a lot of it is just kind of rebalancing the enjoyment that you get out of it. And so for me, like growing up, in the era of like there's nothing on YouTube in 2009 for Heroclix. You might get like a noisy event hall game on like 480p. And I would just rewatch those constantly. I mean, I probably watched the same like 5 or 10 videos, like seriously 20, 30 times because I itched so bad. I wanted to play Heroclix all the time. But it was only Fridays, and then when my friends would get together, like I probably got to play a lot more than most. And even then, like that just still wasn't enough. So I have played and played and played. I've tried my hand at the meta. I've done fairly well. And, I've experienced that. And so this is really just kind of like a new chapter. There are definitely aspects I miss. There is part of me that at some point wants to like drop it for like 3 months and just like grind competitive and try my hand again. But I know ultimately that this is just so much more rewarding. Like what we've gotten from this is so cool. Like being able to work with wizkids as close as we have it's invaluable. It's so much fun. Being trusted to kind of be like the media team for them is also, it's just second to none. And to kind of take the stress away from, the individual matches, the day to day, and kind of reposition that into like, how do we bring it in like the most fun light? It's a different energy. So there are definitely times where I miss playing, but I think in like the overarching scheme of things, this has probably been like these last few years, this has been the most time I've ever dedicated to Heroclix in my life, just in very different ways, but it pays off. It always does. And to just like, talk with people and see people and have them openly appreciate what you do. I think that's the best. So it comes at a cost, but I wouldn't say I like miss it. I'm aware of it, but if I want to play, I always have the opportunity to. So yeah, it's just being, the energy just gets put somewhere else is what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with Ian in the sense that I do yearn to play. So as far as Gen Con goes, I was okay not playing. I just I didn't like what I saw at Gen Con. It was just like, if you don't play that, you're cooked. And I don't like playing that. But when it came to the Champion Clicks that we had here in Austin, I did the media for it. I was like, hey, you know what? I just got to set up the live stream, do a couple of interviews, but I can probably play. And so I did, and I did fairly well, top 8. I got knocked out by Diego, who eventually won the event. So I still kind of itch to play here and there, but only when the field looks fun. Like I said, not a Gen Con. The Worlds was probably fun. I would have played at Worlds had it not been what I did with Dial H. But I mean, I've only been playing for about 2 years, so I still have that hunger. Unlike Ian, he's been playing since he was 2 months, so he's had his shots and won his fair share of trophies. I have not, so I'm in the middle.
Yeah, I think easily like best memory as far as like winning goes was the Infinity Gauntlet Thanos event. Having that come to a close after like month to month, just grinding away, and then doing this big, like I think it was like 7 or 8 rounds. And if you lost, you were out, just period. And so I think like 50 or 60 people showed up, and to win it all and win one of my favorite characters, Thanos, was super cool. So that was like, I think like a peak in my playing. Definitely like a memory I have that I look back on. And yeah, it's just like, yes, I love building the meta. I love studying it. I'm definitely a bit of a generalist in that regard because I haven't, I'm rusty in terms of like the micro play for Heroclix, like exact matchups and positioning. I'm probably a little foggy on, but I still like to keep up with all of it. I love to hear people's thoughts, and in a way that's kind of what it's always been for me. I've always just loved to build teams. In school, I'd get notebooks taken away because I'd be like writing stats and writing down teams, and teachers would look at me just like, what the heck is this? Then I have to explain it to them, whatever. Anytime we got to like bring games to school, I was always bringing Heroclix, Yeah, I've had my fair share of playing, obviously still play, but that itch just isn't as strong as like just improving like Dial H, really. And so I've hinted at it so much, but we are really working on so much cool stuff right now. Like the big thing I think I can talk about is we're going to vastly improve our studio, and we're taking a new direction with our content, just in how we're presenting things. And so doing stuff like that and just bringing like Heroclix to the forefront of like what it needs to be online is just, that's just so much more important to me than winning a tournament, I guess.
We're still kind of on the Worlds discussion, or the pseudo missing out on play type of deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just like a few things for myself to add. Ever since I I guess when I grew up or had to move out of my parents' house finally, I've definitely overcompensated for like the years and years of not ever being able to play Heroclix weekly. So I know when I lived in like Vermilion, the closest venue was Sioux Falls, and that was like a 45-ish, 50-minute drive one way. And I did that every single week, sometimes twice a week, if it was necessary. And I loved that. Like I've really overcompensated as much as I could to make up for all the times I was not able to play Heroclix, to kind of feed that, when you're a kid and you get like a video game or a toy, you want to play with it like an insane amount. But for me, I love Heroclix. And there's just no one to ever play with. Like I had so many friends that I tried to get into Heroclix. It just never happened. Like I had a buddy who was into Heroscape, and we played a ton of Heroscape, but he was like never interested in Heroclix. It was just killer. And so like I really overcompensated ever since I moved out. Like I was going to every nationals, every worlds. I was going in the Phoenix bus, as we call it. And I'm not a competitive guy. I've never been a competitive guy. And I do fine at some of these competitive Heroclix tournaments, like when I want to try. And I've like won a handful of like small things like states and WKOs and like whatever. But the joy I derive from Heroclix is not actually like winning. It's obviously fun to win, and it's cool, and you feel proud and you feel happy when luck works in your favor, or when you build a cool team and you're able to win. Like obviously you don't play games to lose them, but I do just play games to have fun. And the world of Heroclix has always just been a world that I just enjoy, where there's just such a high degree of fun to make content, to do podcasts like this with you guys, to make silly, ridiculous videos. If you're a longtime fan of Dial H, we got some unhinged content that I like. That's like some of my favorite kind of stuff that we've ever done. Some older like 2019, 2020 stuff I just absolutely love, so there's like just certainly a degree of fun with Heroclix. It's just being around it and being able to provide this coverage. It's just a different level of fun. It's a different kind of fun, but it's still in the world of HeroClix. It's still the world I enjoy. And that's why I just ultimately don't really miss having to play at Worlds, because I get to do something that not many other people get the opportunity to do. And I love that that's us and that we get to do that. And that is just so much fun in its own right. Because even when I did travel for competitive, the only reason I tried to play competitive, because I don't really love competitive. I like playing a team of all Captain Americas. I like being either very thematic or really dumb or just like whatever when it comes to team building. I don't like min-maxing. I don't like doing that stuff. I like it on occasion. I don't love it. It's not my favorite flavor to play the game. And so like when I would travel with like in the Phoenix bus with like these competitive guys, Lucas Van Hollen, all these guys, it was just to be around HeroClix, to just have 16-hour car rides where all we did was chat about HeroClix. That rocks, so stuff like that was purely because that was just a way to have fun, a way to be around HeroClix more. So big rant over. I don't mind not playing at Worlds. But I did get the itch this year. I did have an insane itch to play like no other after this Worlds, just because I think Master Time is such a strong set. And a lot of other like just really cool mechanics are out right now where I'm just like, oh, I've got to play. I need to get that itch. Rant over.
No, that's really good insight. I can imagine that you guys are just like, I know you guys genuinely love just the content, watching it. You guys just, all three of you just genuinely just love doing the commentary and doing the play-by-plays and interviewing Clix players and stuff like that. I think that's always super cool. And you guys, all three of you guys do it the best. So, but if you guys could be a little vain, if in the player rankings, where do you think you would put yourself?
I think 12 for like a long, long time. It'd probably be 12th best player in the world. Probably somewhere around there. Definitely better than Isaac Arnold Berkovitz. This is facts, by the way. This is not even conjecture. This is just true. Facts, these are cold, hard facts for most of the year.
Cold, hard. As far as player rankings go, I kind of said it earlier where it's like, I do feel like if I wanted to sit down and really grind out competitively, like, take a few months to practice, I would pretty confidently say, like, you'd see me top 32 at Worlds. I don't think that's unrealistic. And after, like, speaking with players and, before Worlds, I had another very unique opportunity to work with some, like, very, very private players, like people who do not share their builds at all. And so we would set up, I would test some things against them. The funniest thing was people, like, requesting that I play, like, Alex Mader's build. Sure. And so that turned into a lot of like philosophical arguments on like, well, Alex Mader, is this how he plays it? I'm like, almost certainly, yeah. And then I would go talk with Alex Mader. I'd be like, this is what you would do in this situation, right? He goes, yeah, you nailed it. I was like, perfect. I'm slowly turning into you, man. But I think like just in practicing like with like some top level players and just kind of knowing like my history and like, my ability to perform, yeah, I would say like if I wanted to be, I could be in that discussion.
Yeah,
I wouldn't peg myself to be like, oh, yeah, I could go win Nats or Worlds or anything. I don't know if I've ever been that good. I think where my play degrades really is in like specific, like positioning, specific, like I've never been a map guy. I've never been somebody to study maps. I just have no desire to. So that would be something that I would definitely have to like step my game up in. I was just never a person that was like, I need to be on this map to make this team function. And that is such a crucial part of the game, but just not how I roll. So there's my biggest weakness.
It's definitely part of like the degree of separation. I know like my favorite map of all time is the WWE Arena Indoor. There's nothing on it. There's hindering terrain on the map. Then that's it. Like I want the map to be such a non-factor in literally all of my games. Pretty much. I hate terrain on the map being in my way because the way I always play, and Ian's like similar, is just I want to play get in your face and I want to start rolling dice. I want to bash you. I want to bash you first. I want to bash you hard. Like that's it. I want to get up in your face. I want to hurt you. So Alpha Strike teams, shout out Asael, Alpha Strike. Those are always been my favorite kind of like way to play HeroClix. I've never been a defensive shell guy. I've never been sidestepping in my starting area, placing my barrier perfect. Like to an extent, some teams, yes. But yeah. As far as like to allow ourselves to be vain and to say, I am also in the mindset of Ian where I'm very confident in my ability when I decide to care. It's like, I'm sure there's some fake fictional character, I could point this out, but like when I actually decide to care at like Heroclix, like if Goku turns on his power or something, that's how I kind of feel. Otherwise, I'm just chilling, whatever. I'll play literally the worst teams ever. Ian can attest to this. I will happily play some of the worst teams literally ever. But then if I really want to try and I want to care, then I can go to Sioux Falls and I can win their regional, you know. I can go and do well at a states or do well in some sealed events.
You
or
can
whatever.
go to a states event and lose to a Scarab Time platform team twice in a row.
I can also do that. I can also go to a states event and win it all twice. To shout out those times, thank you, Ian. I can, I can also show up
Wasn't
to
at one of those.
Yeah, you weren't. That's true. You weren't at. Well, actually, no, you were at one of them. You're playing a Black Panther build, and I do remember beating that team.
Oh yeah, I crit missed on my Groot retail. That sucked.
Yup.
Oh, that was a bummer.
Yes, sir. But yeah, so I feel like whenever I like want to try, when I want to turn it on, I think I can be pretty good. To be, I mean, you said to be vain, so yeah, I'll be a little vain. I think I'm like a solid
together
player.
though. That's when it starts to get real nasty.
That is where the
Get
magic
me in the
happens.
lab and Kalder on the field. Like that is proven. We've proven that one time and time again.
It's really good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's Wonder Twin powers just activate, like boom.
Like
Bucket of
Calder's
water.
Nats build was largely like that came from a Facebook comment where like, hey, you know, constructs can borrow attack values if they have Sinister Syndicate from Iron Spider Prime. And then I was just like, oh my gosh. When Calder got home that day, I was like, dude,
I love
we made a video on it. We were so excited.
That was one of the few teams where it's like, oh, we gotta make a video on this. It's so cool. But I'd been playing a style of team for a long time where it was like a flash drop-off team. That was like, ever since he came out, it was like my favorite. So earlier that year for Brad's event, I played a triple Captain America drop-off team. And I never once thought of Prime Iron Spider and like using constructs. And I always loved constructs. So when Ian was like, yeah, we can do this, and that. And this is where I'm slightly the casual part of me, the Captain America lover in me, where I have to just play him, where he was very like, you have to play Maggot. You should play Maggot. He's just a better piece. And yes, he is just a better piece. I'll even concede that for the most part. But I love that Empire Captain America free make an attack. And it's my favorite character. So like, yeah, I want to play with my favorite character. So it was very much like, let's build this whole team. For states, it was missing something. And that something ended up being like, get rid of Molecule Man and a few other extra points and just put Sicarian and Iron Man on the team. Just put that dude on there. He's so good.
Yeah,
and so
we
once
had
we kind of talked about that.
There, where
Carry
Iron
him
Man
being
operated
basically the
as
bouncer.
a secondary attack. He was like a retail in a way. It was pretty cool.
So I really liked that like point of the build. And again, like being just hard-headed and having to have Captain America on the builds just worked out pretty well with nationals, I think, with everything. And any piece that makes somebody be like, gotta look at that card like several times when they're just so unaware. And I'm like, hey, look, he's very unassuming. And to shout out, I guess, Despero and like Banner Clicks, like we talked about earlier, he was one of those pieces where I used that activation because he had exploit on click 2. And then he became my prime Spider-Man killer. And I was huge on that. And he was just a stat monster. And yeah, it's like, once Ian and I really get together and we brainstorm and I can just, he's thinking of tactics. He's thinking of like the right, like good team build and everything. We work through it, revision 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then you put me on the map and it's that switch hits and I start to care. I can be a better player, but I like being a bad player. I like playing dumb stuff, but I can turn it on. I can be a better player.
Like playing your favorite stuff though, like I feel like it's something that gets kind of lost in the sauce.
You have to though. That's the core of HeroClix. You got to play your favorite guys and gals, your favorite comic characters. You have to.
Yeah, 100% on that. I'll double down on that. The same thing with the event that was ran, the Champion Clicks. I got 8th place. I didn't run Mern. Everybody else was running Mern. It's a figure you have to run, like we've stated several times this episode. That's just my biggest downfall is that I just can't get myself to play figures that are just good that I just don't care about. I'd rather be playing Doctor Doom. I'd rather be playing Prime Wonder Woman. I liked a lot while she was modern. The swapping Dooms in silver is my jam. Yeah, that's my downfall. I just can't play figures that are just simply good and meta that I don't like.
That makes.
I think I can, but I have to have my own flair. I'm not going to play a 1-to-1 meta build. I'm not going to net deck something fully. I have to add my own, like, what I like to it. I think we all fall in that boat. And honestly, I wish more players did. I think a lot of people just get really hung up on like, oh, well, this is one. And they don't look at all the variables of like why that won. So they're just like, oh, this is a successful team, so that's what I'll play. And that's just like, I mean, I get it. I understand it. I'm not going to fully hate on it, but I do think it's like kind of lame.
Yeah. I think that's a big controversy in the community.
Alec, where would you peg yourself as a player? Would you say you're a player capable of getting something like second at nationals?
I would say roughly Alec is probably the second best player in the United States of America. I think that's probably apt.
Is that how it works? I
think so.
Is it not?
I guess so. I will not. Yeah, I think where I'm at feels pretty fair. I think in terms of like if I went to Worlds, I think getting top 64, top 32 would definitely be something that I would be capable of if I went. But it's all, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I look at people play and I'm like, wow, I just don't even know how you thought of that. So, but I think wherever the player ranking is, I feel like is very fair. I don't think it would be a weird thing for me to make top 64, top 32. If I made that at a Worlds event, I would be incredibly happy and be like, yep, I feel really good. So I feel like that's where I would place myself at.
You impressed me. Straight up, you impressed me at Nationals. I mean, I told you that, but I was like, dang, Alec's that man. Alec's got that dog in him. I wasn't aware. I didn't realize he played like that.
We were all surprised in like in a good way.
In a good way.
No, I knew you had it in you, man.
Yeah, I had a lot of money on you, no?
You made me a lot of money that day.
Well, Alec, would you say that, or rather, this is a question for everybody, would Alec be the best Heroclix content creator player? I would say yes.
I mean, no. It's so hard to play.
I mean, so far, in official rankings where he has been in the mix, yes.
If we're talking like quality of content and quality of play, yes.
Yes.
If we're talking just quality of play and you happen to do a podcast, no.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yes, I agree with that, because I think a lot of the podcasters that don't do like video content and content creation, I think if you make a video and a short consistently or decently consistently, like outside of a podcast, I would consider you a creator, and versus just a podcaster.
Player. I'm speaking just playing ability. Out of all the content creators.
Oh, then, content creators, if we go by Alec's definition, yes. But if we're talking like podcast,
I think Asael means also podcast. I think he means the normal people that you think of when you think Heroclix content creators.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to put Alec above Daniel Powell
or Lucas
or
I'm going to. I will. Yeah, I think it's funny. Not that I don't. No, it's going to be whatever. Yeah, no, I think it's funny. Yeah, Alec is my number one Heroclix player and content creator.
It's so funny because I practice against Lucas, so I practice against Dan. I actually feel way more comfortable playing against Dan than I do Lucas, and I don't know why.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I played against Dan quite a few times, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, I beat him every time, because he definitely usually
because you do, and you're humble.
Admit it. I think I can tell you why, actually. Because Lucas does this thing where during his turn, he'll just talk out loud how he's going to demolish you. He's like, okay, so if I move this here, well, you have an outwit there, but I think I can get 7 through. Okay, so my team's here. That's probably what you're going to do to me next turn. So if this attack lands, things are good for it. Like, he just spells out exactly how he's going to rip you apart, and you're just like,
honestly,
all right, dude.
There's a handful of people that say you'll probably do this, and that's probably one of my biggest like irks that like bothers me about a player. And it's like, you don't know what's going through my head. You don't know me. You don't know what I'm going to do. Don't you dare ever think you know what my next move is, bro. I that actually really does bother me a little bit. Where it's like, oh hey, don't put no ideas in my head. I'm going to do what I'm going to do on my turn. You just worry about your turn, buddy. Like, or at least keep it in your brain. Like, don't. It really does bother me. I don't like it when people go, yeah, you're probably going to do this. And I'm like, you don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
Calder's probably going to react to the next thing I say in this way. I'm kidding.
It's like that Office scene when Jim's playing against Creed. Don't do that. Why? When they're playing chess, like, don't do that. Why? Because I'll do this, and if you go here, I'll do this. I go like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I play against Dan. And maybe because Lucas is a little more earnest when he talks. But yeah, I think when I play Lucas, he'll like, I'll do something really nice, and then he'll like come up and wipe my team, and then he'll just like, all right, so this is what you did wrong. He's like, right off the bat, you picked the wrong map. I'm like, what? It's just like it'll just like go systematically down the order of like, this team is good, but you just got to get your bearings correct. Like otherwise, like this will happen. And Dan does the same thing too. Lucas is more like, if you burn your hand on the stove, I'll tell you after you're done crying why you shouldn't do that. And I think Dan would be like, well, we don't put our hands on the stove because it's hot. And that's the reason why it's hot is, and you go into that. So
no, you're right on. That is very much the style. Like doing the traveling to a lot of events with Lucas. It's always very much after the event is over. We always, and this is actually really cool. We always ran down our games, our 300 modern games. You know, we all took turns, and then there'd usually come a point where it's like, okay, and then I lost this game and I didn't make cut or something, you know, something to that effect. And then we would really think about, well, what were the actions you took in that game? Did dice mess you up? Did your opponent outplay you? You know, like, what could you have done? What didn't you do? What did you do? And we went around the car and we all did that. And that was one of the biggest growing moments in Heroclix for me. And that was a lot of discussion sparked by Lucas, like on the drive back. And I think those are just phenomenal. And I encourage more play groups, people that travel together and have those opportunities. But please do that. Reflect on your games. Look at like decisions you made, decisions you didn't make, you know, because that's just huge.
I think Alex Mader can definitely attest to that too. I remember talking to him at Adepticon, telling him like, dude, you're doing so good. He's like, well, I mean, a lot of it has to come down to, because I play Lucas like every week. And at some point I was like, well, I gotta beat him somehow. So, and I think Alex Mader would also say that too.
Going back in like the day of like the Batman set and kind of around that Infinity Gauntlet era too, when Alex Mader was new, yeah, I mean, he's a new player. He'd lose a bit, but he was very quickly like the second or best player at the venue, I think like within months. Like he's incredibly talented, like very, very strong player.
Is it?
He was like the one person I would sit across from in that era where I was like, all right, this is actually going to be like a really tough match. He's always been like that formidable of a player. And when he came back, he would play goofy stuff and fun stuff. Like he went to Worlds his first year back. He's like, yeah, I'm just playing like Spider-Hulk. And then the next time you see him, it's just like, no, I've completely gone to the dark side. Like, I'm ready to clean some clocks.
I like that. Anyways, I'll wrap it up here because it's been 2 hours. I apologize.
Love that.
No, it's fun.
No, you're good. This was fun. Alec, thank you so much for having us all on. This is actually seriously a blast. I won't lie. When like you guys were saying like, yeah, let's record, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so tired. But like this is actually like was just so much fun. I had an awesome time. Great idea. Great people. Loved it.
Yeah, I agree. I hope we can do it again sometime. Hope we can make this not like weekly regular, obviously, because you guys all have your own contents and content creation. I'm sure you guys are very busy with that. But every once in a while, I'd love to do the PF Chang boys, the Dial A for Alpha Strike USA.
Dude, Dial A for USA. No, Dial A that's the USA. Okay.
It's what our group chat's called. It's just the Dial A for Alpha Strike USA. I think that's what we're rolling. It is. I mean, we all have long names. Well, Alec, you actually have the shortest name. The Alpha Strike, and I mean, just Dial H for HeroClix is so long.
Alsua
words.
Well, I guess I'll close this out. Obviously, if you guys are listening to this, you probably know where everyone's at. But just in case you don't know where they're at, if everyone, starting with Asael, do you want to talk about just where we can find you on the internets for your content?
Of course. I do want to say earlier in the podcast, you said that we are the front runners of HeroClix content. I would like to toss your name in the bucket as well, man. You definitely push us to create better content. So give some credit to yourself. You do great stuff in your channel.
Thank you.
You did have us sweating for a minute, Alec. When you came on the map, I was like, well, somebody else is doing something.
You lit a little bit of a fire. So I was like, all right, friend or foe. And that's when I said, hey, let's talk.
Yeah. And if you are a creator out there, or maybe you're thinking, I really do want to start content creation, but I don't know where to start. But just reach out to some of us, and we would love to give you feedback. I think between all of us, we have pretty good insight of what works, what doesn't work. And also just go for it.
Don't overthink things. Like, really get more creative before you get more expensive, and just do it. I mean, looking back at some of the stuff we did early on, I'm just like, oh my gosh, why did we do this? And the reason you do is finish your idea, finish what you're working on now so you can get to the good stuff later. If you never finish anything, you're just never going to build anything. So if you want to start genuinely, just, even if you think it's bad, just post it. It's fine. You'll get better because you'll watch it later and go, wow, look how much I've improved.
Yep.
And that should push you to do more.
That is one of the biggest things I always give people who just in general want to be a content creator, whether it's Heroclix or not, is just make sure you're always bettering yourself, because your first stuff is always going to be your worst stuff for the most part, unless you have a viral hit. But you always want to look back and say, I can do better, and then you want to watch your progression grow. So anyways.
Agreed.
All that to say, Asael, where can we find you?
Yes, so I am on Facebook as The Alpha Strike. I am also on YouTube by the same name, and Instagram by the same name. I'm trying to promote some more on Instagram a little bit. Those 3 avenues.
Absolutely. And then Kalder and Ian?
Yeah. We are Dial H for Heroclix podcast on Facebook for all sorts of cool stuff there. We are, of course, Dial H for Heroclix on Podbean, iTunes, wherever you can find podcasts for Dial H for Heroclix. And then YouTube, we are Dial H for Heroclix. And then if you ever want to support us on Patreon, shameless plug, we are Dial H podcast over there.
Give them that money. Shmoney. Sorry.
He said that, not me. He said that, not me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your days to just come and chill and talk. And hopefully we can do this again very soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Guys.
Thank you, Alec.
Yeah, thanks,
Happy
Alec.
trails.
Happy trails. Oh, crap. That's okay.
No. Yeah, it's like I already said that, and it's like kind of like my thing. It's like, I don't really care. Like, no, I don't care.
All right, cut this part.